and my packs are kind of falling down on the right hand side. So, wow, right at the start already, this opening is really good. I'm already satisfied. That's why I like doing this, guys. I just get so, I don't know, just brings back the feels, brings back the happiness of opening up this. No, 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 dude. Oh my God. Let's go. This is the chase card.
Elemental Hero Air Neos is one of the biggest anomalies in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. And that's saying something because we have over like 10,000 cards. To the untrained eye, the card might not appear to be anything special. At first glance, most would probably just think, so what, it's like one of Jaden's old fusion monsters that gains attack based on having lower life points or something. And that's correct, at least on the surface level. Do a little more research on the card and you'll soon realize that the E-Hero Air Neos iceberg goes so much deeper than just being an old crappy anime card. Everyone loves a good old-fashioned conspiracy theory, and this guy has more of them than you can shake a stick at. Considering it's been the recent topic of discussion, controversy, and debate, I thought now was the perfect opportunity to cover the card, its strange history, and the many conspiracy theories floating around on the interwebs. I think I'm also going to try to answer the million-dollar question. That question is, why has Konami effectively erased Elemental Hero Air Neos' existence from the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG? Also, if you like content like this, or just like my videos in general, help the channel grow by giving the video a thumbs up or by sharing it on social media. Let's start with the brief history lesson. Emphasis on brief because there honestly isn't a ton here. E-Hero Neos premiered in Strike of Neos, released in the TCG November 16, 2006. It was the cover card of the booster set, and that of course meant being printed in the highest rarities. Air Neos came in Ultra Rare and the incredibly shiny Ultimate Rare. The card was summoned a few times by Jaden in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime throughout seasons 3 and 4 and was actually the winning play in his first duel versus Jesse. As sad as it sounds, being the cover card of a booster set and having some cool appearances in the anime was pretty much the highlight of Air Neos' legacy, at least in those days. See, Neospacians may have been neat in the anime and all, but for the physical card game, outside of a couple of cards like Grand Mole, they just weren't very good. In fact, the Contact Fusion monsters were actually much worse because they all required Neos, and even when you summoned them, the Fusion monsters went back to the extra deck in the end phase, pretty much just making the entire thing pointless, unless like Jaden in the anime, you specifically defeated your opponent during the turn you summoned them, and that just isn't going to happen very often. So E-Hero Air Neos didn't really see any competitive play, and became more of a card for casual duelists and collectors, but that didn't stop the card from being notable. A few years ago, duelists really started noticing the high price tag of Neos. For some context, here's a thread from Reddit made in 2019 pointing out the $65 price of Ultras and how Ultimate Rares will set you back $100. The common and sensible explanation for Air Neos' high price tag was simply because the card had never been reprinted in the TCG. This in itself is an oddity, as E-Hero Air Neos still to this day remains the sole member of the original 6 Neos fusions to never be reprinted in the TCG, not even once. Flare, Aqua, Dark, Grand, and Glow have all been reprinted at some point in the TCG. Some happened in the Duelist Pack Jaden 2, others appeared in the Legendary Collection Duelist Academy set, but they all get at least one reprint. All except, of course, Air Neos. For the record, the OCG situation isn't much better. The card did have an official reprint in their Master Collection Volume 3, but just like here in the TCG, that printing is from 15 years ago, March 2007 to be exact. Due to insane scarcity of the card, Air Neos' prices have hit some pretty incredible levels over the past couple of years, with near mint ultra rares going for $150 and ultimates fetching anywhere between $400 to $500. This has turned the entire Strike of Neos booster set into somewhat of a holy grail, as sealed booster boxes are nearly impossible to find, and even single sealed blister packs can have a $100 price tag. Kinda makes me wish I would have bought more of these back in the GX days. So with E-Hero Air Neos having such an incredibly high asking price and such scarcity because the card hasn't been reprinted in any region for over 15 years, this brings up the obvious question: why doesn't Konami just reprint the card? Clearly, players around the world have been waiting for this for years. Before I attempt to answer that, let me first point out that when it comes to overdue reprints, sometimes Konami is just, well, a bit oblivious as to what cards need them. In a perfect world, all the cards that we duelists want would get reprinted every so often. However, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have set rotation, every card released that's not currently on the ban list is legal for tournament play, and of course, this crazy game has over 10,000 cards. Sometimes things are just going to slip through the cracks. An example of this would be Quagar Hercules, a random super crappy fusion from the DM era. Quagar had only been printed twice ever in the TCG, and those 2 times were both in tournament packs. These printings were from 2002 and 2003 respectively. When a new card, Ready Fusion, was released that would finally allow you to summon Quagar easily, fans of the B-Trooper archetype attempted to get the card, only to find that the cheapest copies were $70 and that the super rares were going for $400. Fast forward 6 months later, and Konami just reprinted Quagar Hercules in the OTS Pack 18 so everyone can get the card much easier. Since Yu-Gi-Oh's card pool is so big, Konami is bound to just forget about a lot of super obscure cards. The solution is supposed to be reprinting those cards in, some random side sets as demand for the card picks up. But that clearly hasn't happened with E-Hero Air Neos. To answer the question about why doesn't Konami simply just reprint the Neos, I don't believe that it's so much they won't as it is they can't. Alright, it's conspiracy time. Let me first state for the record, as someone who treats research like a religion on this channel, none of these theories have been confirmed. These are simply the ones that appear most in the Yu-Gi-Oh community and have the most traction. Chances are we won't get a definitive answer on the Air Neos conspiracy for a long time, or I guess until some boomer at Konami retires, but neither one of us feels like waiting that long, so let's just jump into it. First off, we have to acknowledge this isn't a situation like Quagar Hercules where Konami just plumb forgot about the card. Unlike almost anything I can remember in Yu-Gi-Oh, Konami, in my opinion, seems to be actively attempting to erase Air Neos' existence from Yu-Gi-Oh and from our memories. Sounds like hyperbole, right? Exhibit A, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It's supposed to be simpler Yu-Gi-Oh! Reliving the glory days, blah 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 blah. Elemental Hero Air Neos isn't in the game, but for some reason, there are some E-Hero Air Neos files in Duel Links. Whatever. Exhibit B, the brand spanking new Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Nope, he's not in this game either. Exhibit C, the new E-Hero support from the next core booster set in the TCG, Power of the Elements. This set has a new hero support card named Instant Contact. In the artwork for Instant Contact, E-Hero Neos alongside all of the original Neos fusions appear in the artwork. All except one. You already know this, but E-Hero Air Neos is mysteriously absent. Finally, Exhibit D, the E-Hero themed product line coming in the summer of 2022 for the TCG. Konami has shown binders, mats, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But once again, lots of the OG Neos fusions are there, and one guy is conveniently missing. Combine this all together, and I think it's pretty clear that Konami has no interest in even bringing Air Neos up, let alone reprinting the card. The first conspiracy theory involves an Italian airline company named Neos Airlines and legal name disputes. This one could be legitimate. After all, one would assume that Neos Airlines would own the copyrights to Neos Air, or at least something similar, and having a monster with Air Neos in its name could be seen as copyright infringement. It also doesn't help in the matter that the logo for Air Neos is a red bird. Sure, it doesn't exactly look like Air Neos, but when you compile this with the name, they could have a compelling legal case. Going to court over the Yu-Gi-Oh! IP isn't something that's new for Konami. Heck, just off the top of my head, I can think of them battling with 4Kids for the anime, Upper Deck Entertainment for control of the TCG, and Wizards of the Coast over the term Magic card. My reservation about this theory would be wondering why Konami hasn't attempted a name change to say Wind Neos, or change the word air to Breath Sky, or honestly whatever doesn't piss off the airline. The second conspiracy revolves around the idea that the original artist of Air Neos, or TV Tokyo, actually owns the rights to the card, and that Konami can't legally use it without their permission. This could definitely work, although it's the general belief that when working with Konami as an artist, you basically sign away everything in the process. Konami owns all the rights to whatever art is used on the cards, you aren't publicly credited, and as far as I can tell, you aren't even supposed to publicly display your Yu-Gi-Oh! Works. I'm basing this off artist Akina Fujiwara, who designed the Charmer cards, the Trap Trick archetype, a bunch of Gishki art, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Drona Lockbird, and really just a bunch of other Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. But on her webpage and her Twitter, you can't find any sign of this. at least any pictures that would directly link her to the Yu-Gi-Oh projects, despite her working on like 100 cards. I don't know why this artist who designed Air Neos would have an agreement that's contrary to everyone else's, or what we know about most Yu-Gi-Oh artists who work on cards today. However, this agreement should have been formed around 2006, which I still consider the Wild West days of Yu-Gi-Oh, and when Konami didn't really know what the hell they were doing, at least not to a full extent. So I think that anything is possible, and if Konami was going to have a wacky deal, somewhere prior to like 2008 would probably be when that deal was made. TV Tokyo, the anime company, could also own rights over Air Neos, but wouldn't that mean that they'd have rights over the other original Neos fusions from the GX anime? If so, I don't understand why they would just hold this one fusion monster up. The idea has been floated around that the card is too similar in design to another anime character. If you roll with that idea, and that TV Tokyo owns the rights to Air Neos too, then the theory actually starts making a lot of sense, because then Konami doesn't have the permission to use the card at will unless TV Tokyo permits, and TV Tokyo wouldn't permit because that could cause a legal dispute with another anime company. I'll also note that Air Neos was the only member of the original Neos fusions not to debut in Season 2 of GX, so theoretically, there could have been some dispute back in 2006 that delayed the card in the anime. To me, this little tidbit alongside Air Neos' absence on the card Instant Contact definitely gives some credence to the theory about Konami not owning the license over Air Neos, or there being some problem with the card art itself. Another prominent conspiracy theory relates again to the card's artist, but not involving licensing issues. This theory creates a scenario in which the artist has done something horrendous or illegal, leading to them effectively being blacklisted by the industry and Konami cutting all ties with them. To me, this idea could have worked if Air Neos didn't oddly appear in the Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution for the Nintendo Switch a few years back. If you're cutting all ties with something, I'm not sure why you'd want to go back to that thing one random time. And if the artist did something terrible recently, post Link Evolution, then that doesn't explain the dozen-year gap of no reprints of Air Neos for the TCG and the OCG leading up to that point. Honestly, because of how long it's been since Konami last printed this card and how erratically they've treated Air Neos in the past, where they completely ignored it for, a dozen years, then they randomly throw it in the Link Evolution, they pull it from Duel Links even though the files are in there and it's not a Master Duel, I'm just not sure that we're going to get a real answer for quite some time. If I were to take a shot at answering the original question about why Konami has basically erased Air Neos from Yu-Gi-Oh! And not reprinted it, I'd say that it's most likely because it indeed looks too similar to another licensed comic, anime, or manga character, and in doing so, Konami would get in a huge legal dispute, which of course they would not want to invite. The fact that Konami won't even use Air Neos in card art anymore, to me, definitely hints at that. I do know that this is one of the weirdest situations I've ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that the truth is definitely out there. Hopefully we don't have to wait 15 years for that truth to come out. There are of course crazier theories and other ones out there which you can find on social media like Facebook and Reddit. Some people even believe that it's completely illegal for Konami to reprint Air Neos, which might sound ridiculous, but honestly at this point, if you can think it, there's probably a conspiracy theory on the internet about this specific card. But these were, in my opinion, the most popular and most compelling and definitely my favorite of the theories. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you learned something, definitely give it a thumbs up. Let me know your favorite Neos conspiracy theory or why you believe the card has not been reprinted in over 15 years in the comment section below, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future.